Hey there, hockey fans, it's your buddy Choppadong, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the two-game slate today. Hopefully we can spot some value plays and maybe a couple of top plays on the slate, maybe talk a little bit in terms of game plan and what I would do. Certainly follow me, don't follow me, come up with your own creative ideas, whatever. It's a two-game slate, hockey-wise, it's very volatile, and this is one of those good spots to look for chalk, to really concentrate in a couple of key areas, and then decide, do you really want to go overboard on the chalk and get way over the field, or do you want to fade that chalk in such a volatile game like hockey, hope that it fails, and then be somewhere else when everybody else goes down with the ship? And I don't know. It's just kind of one of those things where you're going to have to make up that decision kind of for yourself by feeling out the slate. So I'm going to dive into the NHL research station over at dfsarmy.com and kind of walk you through that tool and show you what's up while we talk a little bit about the slate. So, thanks as always for following me out here on Twitter land, as well as liking and subscribing the videos down below. That ensures that you keep getting this type of content on a periodic basis, and we'll see if we don't ramp this up over a bit of time. We're starting to get some numbers. We're starting to get a little bit of consistency with some of the tools, with some of the data that's piling in. And so that's allowing us to use these tools and get a little bit more away from the feel aspect of this sport, which still works, it still applies. You can always use NHL.com and use a couple of neat little numbers and things that I've been showing our VIPs, stuff like that. But in the meantime, let's just dive into the tool and see where we don't land. The front page of the research station shows the Red Wings in Tampa Bay, and you can see all greens are good, reds are bad. So how good is Detroit this year? Right? They're not really worth playing, usually. If this was a 6, 9, 10 game slate, I'm not even looking at Detroit for anything, really. It doesn't make any sense unless I get wind that they're super hot on this top line with, Larkin and Bobby Ryan and whatnot. Then, okay, I guess. But generally speaking, they're not scoring goals. And when a team is not scoring goals, right now, 10 games played, they got 2 goals per game scored, and they're giving up 3.5. So that's bad for Detroit. It means it's great for Tampa Bay. But the offense is bad. I want teams that score goals. In a sport like baseball or hockey, where the scoring is so lopsided, you're not accumulating 1 point per 10 yards or anything, or a point, per rebound and assist and whatever. You're only accumulating goals. That's it. Shots on goal are 1.6 points, but when a goal is like 8, it's worth about 6 shots. It's 6 times more important. An assist is more important, by about 4 times. So you need to focus on those. And the sucky part about it is just like baseball with home runs, goals, home runs, that stuff is less predictive. Yes, a guy who hits for a 400 average in baseball is going to probably hit more home runs, than if he hit for a 250 average. So you'd probably, but not always. They've got numbers and advanced metrics and stuff to decipher between who's a power hitter and who's not in baseball. We don't really have that in hockey in terms of some kind of a power shooter or anything. We do have guys that tend to score more than others. You could look at a little bit of shot percentage or something, I guess. But what you're really looking at is just what team's scoring goals. What team is scoring goals, and are they matching up against a team that is allowing goals? And if that's the case, I'll play them. And on a 10-game slate, I may have 8 choices. Good luck narrowing that down to the right 2 choices for your first and second stack. Good luck. It's just not going to happen very often. But on a 4-game slate, maybe you can get down to the right team or 2 more times than not. And Detroit's not going to be that. Okay, Tampa Bay is that. Tampa Bay is scoring 3.5 almost per game, and they're only giving up 2.2. So, let's do something here. This is something that I kind of alluded to, and I've done this in the past. It works. Everything is streaky in hockey, but it does work over large sample sizes. Take the goals for at 343, drop the decimal point, just round it to those 2 digits, call it 34. Add it to the goals against of the opponent at 35. 34 and 35 is 69, right? So just keep that in your head. 69. That number, if that number is high, it means a team scoring a lot of goals is going against a team allowing a lot of goals, and that should theoretically be a good thing, right? Well, what if a team is not scoring goals and is going up against a team that doesn't allow a lot of goals. That would be a 2.0 or a 20 going up against a 2.29 or a 2.3 or a 23. So 2.0, 2.3, 20, 23, whatever you want to call it, adds up to a 43. So I've got a 69 going up against a 43. That tells me that offensively, Detroit doesn't have a lot of potential tonight. Tampa Bay does. 69. Now, is 69 the highest number on the slate? I don't know. We've only got one other game to do. If I slide down here to this next game, 3.4 for Philly, 2.2 for Boston against, right? I don't want to see green goals against because that's good for Boston. That's not good for Philly. But 3.5 or 35, and then 22 is what, 57? So I've got a 69 and a 57. It's a big jump. It's a big difference. I look over here at Boston, 3.1 versus the 3.0 for Philly. That's a 61. So I've got a 57 and a 61 down here, which are pretty close. And then up here, I've got a 42 and a 69. So 69, 61, 57, 42, whatever the hell the numbers were, there's your offensive outputs. That's an easy way to look at the slate. You may go through a bigger 8, 9, 10 game slate and do that for every team, and then take the top 3 or 4 teams, target those in your big stacks, and take the next 2 or 3, 4 teams, and then target those in your secondary stacks. That's a lot of what I do. That's what I've been trying to do with NHL.com and show you guys. All we're looking at, now that we've got a few games under our belts, is who is scoring goals and who's allowing goals, and do they match up? I want to be in a position to score goals because goals overwhelmingly outweigh a normal shot. Assists outweigh a shot or a block, right? So really all I care about is who's scoring goals and did I get the assists to go with it? That's why we stack. That's why we correlate in hockey. And how do we do that? We look at those offensive lines. We look at some of these numbers. Again, green is good and red is bad. There are some green on Detroit that you might play as one-offs or something along those lines. And this is a little confusing to look at. But overall, you should understand Detroit sucks. And Tampa's pretty good. Okay? So if I'm looking at numbers on specific lines, I may take the line 1 totals, which is these 3 guys right here, Palat, Point, and Stamkos, and I may say that in their last 10 games, 6 goals, 7, that dates back to maybe a game or 2 from last year, but 6 goals, 7 assists, 31 shots. Okay, I can use that to compare something to. 2 goals in the last 5 games, 2 goals, 2 assists, and 13 shots. You know, that's what we should be at 15, 16 shots. They're not shooting as much these last 5 games as they were the previous 5 before that. Maybe they're on a little bit of a downtick. You can use these types of things to make these determinations. But you could look at a Victor Hedman at 2 goals and 4 assists and say he's worthy of playing. So I may not stack that top line. I may just use Victor Hedman as access to this top line and call it a day. You know, these are the kinds of things that I'm going to be looking for. But on a 2-game slate, I really don't have a lot of choices to go through. That's how I would use it. You know, I would also use my head and say everybody knows Tampa's a good team. Everybody knows Detroit's not very good. A lot of people love Boston. They think they're a great team. Everybody, you know, maybe knows that Philly is starting to score a little bit. So if I add these two, you know, the slate as a whole together, what I see is I've got 4 choices, and I would say Tampa's probably number 1, Boston's probably number 2, Philly's number 3. So what do? I can say I'm going to take Tampa because I really, really think that they're in the best position anyway. And then instead of Boston, I may take Philly and hope that the game goes 4-2, Philadelphia wins. If I wanted to be really crazy in some kind of single entry GPP, I might actually take Tampa Bay and Detroit and think maybe I catch lightning in a bottle. If I'm in some 10,000 or 20,000 person GPP, I may take Tampa Bay and pair them with Detroit and hope that this game goes 2-1 or some crap like that and disappoints a lot of people that are playing brand names only, and that this game erupts. Would I do that on a 10-game slate? No. Why? Because I'm hoping that about 4 or 5 or 6 really good spots fail in order for me to even get any leverage with Detroit. For me to gain leverage with Detroit tonight, I need Boston and Philly to come out flat, and that's about it. I don't have to have a whole bunch of stuff happen to catch this lightning in a bottle. I need 2 things to happen. I need that game to go flat. I need Detroit to score some goals. That's going to happen more often on this small slate than it would on a 10-game slate where I need Colorado and Pittsburgh and Boston and Washington and, Vegas and whatever else, to every single one of them fall flat. Because if Edmonton scores 4 or 5 goals in a night and Detroit scores 4 or 5 goals in a night, I really don't have any leverage anymore because there's going to be a lot of people in Edmonton still. Didn't do anything for me. I need it to do something when nobody sees it coming, but nobody else has any other they're all trapped in options that didn't work out. And this is the night for that. 2 and 3 game slates are good for that. 4, 5, 6 game slates, God forbid 9, 10, 11 game slates. You just don't worry about ownership anymore. Just play the best plays that you think are going to pan out. Hope you're on the right offenses, the right teams, and you've mixed and matched them together, and that's fine. That's the way I would teach you to play hockey. There's a lot of randomness, a lot of crapshoot, a lot of whatever. So what else would I do? I would jump into the skaters tab. And one of the things that I like to look for in the skaters tab is mispriced guys, right? Like I'm going to look at all the guys on the slate. I'm going to look at all of their salaries, and I'm going to see if anything jumps out at me at wrong pricing, something that's too cheap for everything that it's surrounded by. All the 7,000 and 8,000 guys should be at the top. All the $3,000 guys should be at the bottom, just if we organized it by price. But why wouldn't I come over here? I mean, there's a ton of stats to look at, and I don't really look at most of them. But let's just say last 5 games. Let's just say on DraftKings. And I sort that in descending order. And now I've got all the guys at the top. The last 5 games, Patrice Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak are scoring. That's a good sign if you want to take Boston with Tampa Bay. Or maybe you want to fade Tampa Bay and say, they just don't score tonight. I'll take Boston and Philly and hope the game shoots out. Whatever narrative you're running, make a stand, run it, hope you're right. Okay? But looking at those 3 guys being on top of the list is probably a pretty good starting point, right? And McAvoy's in there as well. These guys are producing currently in their last 4 or 5 games. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for those value plays like we talked about at the very beginning a little bit. And I'm going to see who over here is out of whack. Uh-oh. James Van Riemsdyk, $4,700, up here with $8,000 guys. Value. He's producing like an $8,000 guy, and he's only $4,700. That's a value. $5,000 guy, Charlie McAvoy, value. $3,600 guy, Nick Ritchie, value. $3,700 guy, Craig Smith, value. $3,000 guy, Joel Farabee, value. Right? Then we get down in here and towards the bottom. $6,000 guy down here with a bunch of $4,000 guys, Dylan Larkin, not value. He's about $1,500 over. Is he a $6,000 player? Yes, I believe so. He's a great player. But he's not playing like it right now, not in the last 5 games. So if that continues one more day, he's overpriced. Could he blow up? Yes, they all can. But right now the trend is down on him. He is overpriced right now. If I come down here a little bit more, see, we get down into the $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000 guys. Now, if I found another $5,000 or $6,000 guy down in here with these guys, which I will on bigger slates, then these guys are overvalued. They're overpriced. You got to get up in here to find the guys that are bringing the value. And your value right now is JVR, McAvoy maybe, Ritchie for sure, maybe Craig Smith. These guys are your value plays. These guys make for good cash game plays because they're underpriced for the way they're performing right now. You can pick among the studs and mark out your overall game plan. And then you got to make sure those value guys are in your lineup because they free up all of that price. Again, it's like going to the grocery store with $200. I want to come out with more than $200 worth of groceries. I've got a salary cap of $60,000. I need to come out with more than $60,000 worth of production to win tournaments and win cash games. If I get good at buying players on sale, then by using coupons in the grocery store, then what I'm doing is I'm getting more product, more production for what it costs me. And if I do a better job than that, than you do, I'm going to win more times than not. And that's all this DFS game is. So I would be looking, I mean, I can't fault you if you go with Boston tonight, but I would be looking at Tampa Bay because I think Boston's a slightly tougher matchup. I would be looking at Tampa Bay. I'd be looking for who are the guys that are producing on Tampa Bay. I would be using my value plays like a one-off like JVR, maybe McAvoy to get access to these guys because I probably can't afford them if I play the bigs in Tampa Bay. And then I would probably filter in with a secondary idea. Maybe it's Philly. Maybe it is Boston. Maybe it's Detroit, whatever, and hope to catch lightning in a bottle with Detroit. And maybe that's how I play my GPPs today. Either way, hopefully that helps you kind of get things figured out, get a little idea of the slate, kind of get your mind geared right today, take a little advantage of the atmosphere, and win some money. Peace out, homies. It's been Chopping On NHL Talk, February 3rd, and we'll talk to you soon.